What is up, you guys? I hope you're having an awesome day. I know I'm about to have an awesome day because today is the day we get to get started tearing apart the green truck, working on the brown truck, really just diving into it. The first real project here in the new shop. And the reason we're tearing down the green truck is because if you didn't watch my last video, we're getting ready to back half this thing, 4-link it. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be cool, lightweight. That's what we're doing. The reason we got to tear this apart is because I originally had a Dana 80 in here, and this truck had a Dana 70. Then when I built this truck and this one went back to stock, I swapped them. So I put the 70 in here, put the 80 in here. Now, since we're going back the other way, I want this to be lighter, a 70's lighter. So I'm going to swap the 70 back into the race truck and put the 80 in the brown truck, because the brown truck, let's be honest, it's probably going to end up making some power again. I can't leave it alone. And it would be cool to maybe hit some sled pulls with it or something. So I want it to have that 80 in there because it's heavier and it's gonna be a lot stronger. So let's get started. Before I got started today though, I had to make a run into town. Do some Harbor Freight pimping, you know what I'm saying? Only the best. Got a new jack, some jack stands and airline, and also went to Big Kev's house and robbed some other tools I needed from him so we can get both these trucks up in the air and start pulling them apart. So I'm gonna get started doing that now. Got the back end jacked up. Gonna get these wheels pulled off and we'll just start tearing it down. Now that the wheels are off, I pulled the jack out of the way. I got my nice household rug here to keep me comfy when I'm under here. But I'm gonna get these shocks loosened up, get those off, get the front drive shaft, or get the drive shaft loosened from the rear end, brake lines, anything that's attached, sensors up there. And that's what I'm gonna do now. And I'll catch back up once I have all that unhooked. Then we will put the jack back under the axle, loosen up the U-bolts, and pull this sucker out. Everything under here is loose. I'm just gonna undo these last 2 U-bolts, and this thing should just drop down and roll right out. The rear end is out. That was simple. Next up, I'm gonna pull these loose springs out. So that means I'll have to loosen the gas tank and just bring it over. Or I shouldn't have to drop it all the way down, but I have to be able to pull the front leaf spring bolt out, and they run to the inside. So I'll have to get that tank out of there, and then I gotta get these springs off the race truck because they already have the bushings installed for the Caltracs. So I'm gonna swap those. So that's what I'm gonna get started on now. So one leaf spring is out. We ended up having to take off my hitch, my custom hidden hitch I built, because it was just in the way of these rear shackle bolts. So we got that out. So next up is gonna be tackling this spring. So I'm definitely gonna have to get the jack up under this fuel tank, get the straps loosened up, and then hopefully slide it over just far enough so I can get the bolt out. All right, as you can see here, the brown truck is completely torn apart. It's as far as it needs to go. Axle's out, leaf springs are out, and it is ready to get the new stuff put in. But in order to do that, I gotta tear this truck apart. So I really gotta get the bed off first, just make everything easier. Can't do that right now, I need some help. So that's probably as much work as I'm gonna do today. It's getting hot, so I think we gotta go out and hit some water. Whew. All right, we're back. Tonight, we got to get the bed off the green truck. So I'm gonna get these lights unhooked and undo the screws. And Ash is gonna come out here and we're gonna get this bed set up. Well, we got the bed off. Ash came out and she helped me, and you know, we got it done, did what we had to do. But look at this thing, looking mean, ready for action. I'm gonna get this thing set up on some jack stands. We can start ripping this sucker apart. Leaf springs are out, shocks are out, brake line's unhooked. Last thing I need to do is undo the U-joint straps, but all I have is a cheap little wrench and it just wants to strip those out. So I got to get the right size 8mm wrench for those U-joint strap bolts, and the whole rear end is out. Got these leaf springs sitting over here with the Caltracs. I'm gonna set them up in there as a unit, and this thing will be one step closer. Leaf springs are in, tightened down, and I even got the fuel tank set back up, got the straps tightened up. So next up is getting the axle under here, and I'm probably gonna have to shorten that drive shaft because actually I already shortened it once because this is actually a drive shaft from a gas truck, I think, so it's a little shorter. So I had to take like an inch off of it when I put it in here, and then now it looks like I'm gonna have to take another inch off because the 80 pinion is longer than the 70. So really not gonna know how much I gotta trim until I get that axle set up under here. I ended up getting the U-joint straps off. I was just kind of being impatient, so I am going to set this GoPro down and we're gonna drop this rear end and roll it out of here. Well, I just kept on rolling, and I got the Dana 80 up in here. It's all bolted in, Caltracs. Got the Caltracs on, if you can see them. Man, I think this old rig might need the old drag setup. That's looking pretty mean. But I'm gonna call it a night tonight, but video's not over. Tomorrow night we're gonna come out here, get all this buttoned up, get the brake lines hooked up, and start seeing what's up with that drive shaft, and maybe we'll hack it up and shorten it a little bit, and we'll be ready to roll. After that, shock mounts, but that can be later. I really just want to get this thing back on the ground so I can get it out of the shop so we can keep rolling on the green truck. Okay, so day 3 of the brown truck axle swap / tear down the green truck. Last night we got the axle in, tightened up, and so when I got here tonight, I jacked up the rear axle, put the jack stands under the axle so it'd be sitting at ride height, and I checked the drive shaft to see how much too short it was. And I mean, if we had a 1/4 inch shorter, it would have fit in there, but it would have had like no slip, you know, so there's a chance to hit a bump and it could just jam it right into the tail shaft there. So I'm gonna cut about 1 3/4 inches off of this thing. You can see I've already shortened it once and I welded it back up, so it's not gonna be as clean of a weld to cut through as the factory one, but if I just cut through, just score it around the outer edge, this piece should come out, and that makes it a lot easier to put it together because it's the inner diameter of the pipe is about the same as the outer diameter of this piece, so it'll kind of slide together and almost hold, so then it makes it easier to get it straight, and I can tack it and check it for straightness and get her in there. So I'm gonna start cutting it up now. So you can see these drive shafts are actually really thin. I actually got a little bit too heavy with the grinder there and put a decent slot in there, but it's gonna be okay because that's just kind of there to line it up. Once I weld it, it'll have its strength back. So now I just gotta take some material off here and we can get it set back together. All right, so I spent like the last 20 minutes setting this thing, making sure that the U-joint angle is the same on both sides, measuring from there to there to make sure it's all square. I got it pretty close and it is really tight fit, so you really gotta hammer it. So what I'm gonna do is put the U-joint cast back on, get it up under the truck and spin it and check it for roundness there. I'm almost gonna use like the rear end and the transmission as almost like a lathe to get it up in there and then spin it. And that way I can put something against it and check it, see how round it is. Okay, so before we get under here, and before you guys start leaving comments, I'm just gonna address it. What I'm about to do, is it the right way? Right way? No. Is it gonna work fine for this application? Absolutely. So, you know, a lot of people talk about doing things the right way or you know, you should do it this way or whatever, but at some point you just gotta get in there and get it done when it is suitable. So that's what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna show you my method. Okay, so as you can see, I got the drive shaft in here, and it's just press fit in here. And I have this jack stand, and what I'm using the jack stand as is almost like a dial indicator. So this, I put it up against the drive shaft. Now I will spin the axle over, and see it's making contact here. And then I spin it more, and the gap opens up. So I can see that it's out around. Yep, it hits and then goes away. So now I just give it a couple taps up or down, whichever way it needs to go, and keep spinning it until we're not making contact on the jack stand. Okay, so as you can see, I have like basically a paper's gap between the drive shaft and the jack stand. And I can spin it and it's not contacting. And it is like really close. So I know that it's not perfect, but it's gonna work fine for this, especially being that it's the rear U-joint, it's the one on the axle. The ones on the back of the tail shaft of the transfer case, you really need to make sure those are perfect because any vibration up there can crack your transfer case, your transmission or whatever. But being that it's on the rear end, those have a little bit of play. And I mean, I'm telling you, it is super close. I mean, I'm sure there's trucks that drive around with bent drive shafts worse than this just from wear and tear. So this is gonna work fine. I'm gonna get it tacked up while it's under here, pull it out, and weld it up. There it is, sitting on the ground. Got the old slicks on the back and she is leaning. Hopefully it picks the back end up a little bit when I get the welds and 420s back on. But now we got the Dana 80, we got Caltracs, we got brakes that aren't bled. And I still gotta do, I'm gonna do 2 rear mount shocks. You can't see it, but that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I got Ron and little Kyle back here. They helped me out tonight, so shout out to them. But hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Drop a comment down below. Don't hate on my drive shaft. And like the video. And we'll see you guys on the next one.